The world's great cities face threats they have never before encountered. New York, Tokyo, London, Miami. The threats come from the sea, from above, and from below. These are the problems and their solutions. For when the water comes. In 1993, before climate change was much discussed, Tokyo decided to tackle its existing flood problem with a mega project that many believe was decades ahead of its time. Japan built a futuristic cavern to protect itself against water from above, below, or from the surrounding sea.
We are in the surge tank. We have come down to 65 feet below the ground. On the left-hand side is shaft number 1. Further down the tunnel, we also have shaft number 2, 3, 4, and 5. The overflow from flooding is collected through these shafts and goes through the tunnel to come up through shaft number 1 gradually. The water then flows into the Showa drainage pump station through this surge tank.
When water floods Tokyo, this is where it all goes.
The accumulated water will rise, and eventually it will reach a certain level. Then it gets forced through the 4 pumps of the Showa drainage pump system to be drained out to the Edo River. We have the water flowing into our facility about 7 times a year on average. Out of those 7 times, for about 60% of the time, the water flows into here and is forced out to the Edo River. For the remaining 40% of the time, we store the water here as it can hold up to 670,000 tons. And then the water gets returned to the river it came from.
The system can hold up to 65 million gallons of water and can pump it out as quickly as it comes in. Lewis Makana is a UK-based engineer focused on the problem of stormwater management.
For the mind's eye to capture the scale and size of these silos, you can take the Statue of Liberty and place it inside one of those silos. That's how big it is. It's quite impressive. Flooding in Tokyo is a big challenge. If they didn't have that type of protection, they will be gone.
It took 13 years to construct this facility from 1993 to 2006. In actual figures, it cost 230 billion yen.
That's more than $2 billion.
This facility was designed to cope with that amount. But if there is a rainfall or water flow that is above this upper limit, we will not be able to take it in nor drain it out. It is unavoidable that the local communities will pay the price in such a case.
With increased rainfall and rising seas, engineers like Dr. Makana believe the facility is no longer 100% effective.
Even with this amazing superstructure, they still recognize that because of climate change, because of the rise in sea level, and because of the potential using scenario modeling and looking at the worst case scenario of what potentially could be the worst case type of tidal surge, in addition to maybe a typhoon event, they recognize this protection that is currently in place will not be fit for purpose. That will be something for them to discuss and feature in their future planning for Tokyo, but it will need to be put in place, or else Tokyo will be submerged by flooding.
Despite his prayers, sea levels continue to rise, typhoons grow stronger, and it rains more than ever.
Yes, I'm worried so much that I can't sleep. That's why at this moment too, we're trying to defend the city as much as possible against the water. We're building super levees, strengthening seawalls, improving pumping stations, and so on.
Human beings need to see danger. They need to know the world they live in order to become more resourceful over time. We have a long haul here with climate change. It's not going to be over in 50 years. We need multiple generations to become courageous and resourceful and smart with their money and technology and care about each other.
With today's level of funding, today's engineering, there is no clear answer on how to engineer our way out of this problem. But we're thinking about 50 years, 100 years time from now. And the engineering systems are going to progress as well. Nobody can tell what kind of solution we're going to be able to create or build in 100 years.
I would definitely say it is the Godzilla of all problems. And I believe a lot of the problems we're facing from climate change will require engineering-led solutions. And whether an engineer can take on Godzilla is what we're trying to find out.
It scares the bejesus out of me. You know, living near the water, I think, is something that is so core to the human spirit. And even people who don't live near the oceans, they go to lakes, they go to rivers. I think this is just, we come from water as a species. And so to me, it's just so tragic, the idea that we now have to think of water as an enemy. What we have right now is we have a toolkit that can help us make things better in the short term. That's only going to buy us some time as we figure out this problem at a global level, but it's at the global level that it has to be figured out.
Engineers, planners, and civic leaders in Tokyo are addressing their epic challenge with technology, engineering, and imagination, seeking solutions to protect the city for decades to come.